Yeah, so I was about 8 years old when I started at OCA. Early days of cricket, I mean, it was all about falling in love with the sport, getting to know it and just enjoying it with, the friends that I had here at OCA at that, at the under 13 level, going through to under 15 and stuff like that, playing with those boys, enjoying each other's company, getting familiar with the sport. And just from there on, it's just basically a platform to set you on to what's coming in the future. I mean, like the memories that I have for junior cricket were like amazing. Being in that setup, playing with other boys from other teams. Getting into that competitive nature early on. I mean, it really made a difference. It really gets you mentally tough, and mentally it prepares you for what you have to come in the future. Getting competitive. Enjoying the sport. Being outside, being active is what was mostly important at that age. Kids these days, they don't really go out that often. They have social media to to do whatever they want. But back then, you didn't really have all those apps and stuff to really in that time you had to really get outside, be active and enjoy sports and stuff like that. So that's probably one of the best memories that I have playing for OCA at the starting. Yeah, so my dad's played a massive role in my cricket life. I mean, he's been my role model and he's been my #1 fan and my #1 supporter since day one. It's beyond words to explain the amount of dedication and the amount of time that he's put into me. Not even just my dad, my brother and my mom, they've done heaps of work and they've believed in me since day one, and they've backed me for the last about 10 years that I've been playing cricket. And it's just, beyond words to explain how much I care for them and how much their sort of support and passion for the game as much as I have, to be able to drop me off the grounds, and, being able to pick me up late at night from trainings, But, I mean, for them, seeing me at this level, I'm sure they're proud and all they're hoping for is me to go to the next level and, hopefully being professional and being at the international level and performing and making their names proud and it's basically all the hard work that they put in, it's gonna pay off, and it's just beyond words to explain how much they've put in for my cricket life. I guess the most memorable moments that I've had, I mean, there's a few that I would like to talk about. I mean, just starting off when I was 12 years old, I scored my first 50, and this was in India, playing at a high standard, and that really set me up and it really showed me what it takes to score runs at a high level. And then going forward, getting selected for the under 16 district team in India and being able to perform there and showcase my talent at that level was also a memorable moment for me. And then coming back home, coming back to Canada after 4 years, getting selected straight to the Canada under 17 squad to go to Bermuda. I mean, I have to thank Coach Derek for that, because he really gave me the opportunity. He let me know about the trials and all that, and from there on, it's just been the next step leading to the under 19 Canada team. And that comes to my next memorable moment of my career, is being selected for the under 19 Canada team to go play at the World Cup in Bangladesh in 2016. That by far has been the best experience of my life. I mean, playing against some of the top players across the world, feeding off them, learning their work ethic, and things like that. Being around players that are at the same age level, but learning what their standards are and how they prepare before going out to play a game, what their training schedule is like and stuff like that. And then probably the next thing will be there's one memory that still is always there in the back of my mind, was when I was playing at Rosslord. It was a first division game and I managed to score 103 not out. And it was early on in the season, it's always great to get 100 early on in the season, and that really set me up to be playing at the highest level, playing for the elite team for OCA. I mean, that experience there was taught me a lot. really being around those type of guys, seeing how tough they are, what their mental, capabilities are at that level. I mean, it really set me up for that. And then, coming through to last year, playing for the Super 6 team, it's just like playing with players like Davy Jacobs, learning off them, feeding off them, and like just understanding what it takes to be playing at that high level. And and then playing in New Zealand this past 6 months when I was there, I mean, there was so many memories that I could name, but I think the best one in New Zealand was when I scored that 152 in the Coastal Challenge game. I mean, it was probably one of the greatest knocks I've played so far, because it was, it was hard to, get into it first of all, playing in a different country, learning like the atmosphere and learning the different conditions to play in New Zealand. I mean, it was tough, but once you get into there and you start getting runs here and there, and then to be able to get 100, in a different environment, in different conditions, it really tells you about your game, and you figure out what's the next step from there on. So I would probably say those are my memorable moments. Yeah, so playing in New Zealand was a different experience. I mean, it was the first time down there, and it really taught me a lot. I mean, just aside from the cricket, the whole discipline way of the discipline of the sport, being on time, coming to practice on time, and working hard. I mean, discipline is the most important thing, because if you don't have discipline to play the sport, you won't be able to get to a high level. I mean, because if you see at the high level, discipline is the most important thing. Listening to your elders, listening to what the coach has to say, respecting what the coach has to say, and from there on, it gives you that mental boost, you could say, because when you're disciplined, you start thinking around your game, right? And you start thinking about your reflection. So you think about how people see you. You want to make sure that you set an example for others, like you're a role model for others. And New Zealand really helped me with that. It really showed me what it takes to be a first-class cricketer, and it showed me what it takes to be at that high level. Being able to make that next step to international cricket is basically just from your discipline. You got to be disciplined, and you got to have a great work ethic from there. So it impacted me quite a bit, because it really taught me about my game. I mean, coming from Canada to going to New Zealand, the atmosphere is completely different at trainings. Just the way people are training there, it's all about focusing on your own game. I mean, you don't want to be focusing too much on things going around you. When you're at training, it's only about what you're there to do. You have to have goals, and that's what's been probably the most important thing I've learned, is setting goals and having a purpose for each training. I mean, over there, everybody comes with a plan, and if you don't have a plan to come to training, you can hit 1,000 balls, but if you don't know what you're working on, I mean, it won't really help. So having a plan and setting that goal for the season and working towards it is what really helps you, and it helps you get mentally tough. And when it comes to those times where the team depends on you, you know that you can back yourself because you've put yourself through those conditions in trainings, or just being in those situations. It really helps with you getting mentally tough. So discipline and work ethic is probably the most important thing that I've learned in New Zealand, and I'll continue to carry it on with the boys here when I'm here at training. Yeah, so OCA has made an impact in my life beyond words. I mean, being able to get opportunities, this is probably the only club where I've seen where you get the opportunity. I mean, yeah, you have your first class coaches, you have Derek here, you have Dave Jacobs, how you have these coaches putting in the work and putting in the time for you. So just being in that environment, being surrounded by the senior players that we have here, I mean, it's totally a different standard compared to other clubs, and you want to make sure that if you're going to take your game to the next level, you want to be surrounded by the people that are willing to help you get there. So that's what OCA has done for me. They've recognized the talent that I've had, and they've recognized the talent that all these club members have here, and they've put in the work and they've put in the time to make sure that everybody is going or in the right path to get to their goals. And just through, having these training camps, having the preseason trainings, getting our ground for ourselves, having a turf wicket at our own ground, it really sets up the environment for the whole club, and the culture is really great. You come here and you feel like it's family, no matter where you go, right? And for other clubs, it's just basically about turning up and winning, but OCA is much bigger than that. OCA has really set up the environment and culture that family is what's most important, and you got to make sure that if you're going to take a game to the next level, that you have to be surrounded with people that are always there and have your back. It's beyond words how much OCA has impacted my cricketing career.